Daniel Saylor for Big Dell's tips on FBC, and welcome to round 23. But before we go to round 23, we need to go back and have a look at round 22. There wasn't too many upsets, but some of the favourites just keep on keeping on. Well, on Thursday night, the Melbourne Storm, what can we say about this juggernaut? They just keep on doing what they have to do. The Canberra Raiders, they played some really good football here. Obviously, there was a couple of incidents in the game. Jerome Hughes, Corey Harawira-Naera got him high then, and he'll be missing for a week or two, Corey Harawira-Naera. 3 weeks. But 26-16, and Brandon Smith, the tearaway. He's just scoring tries, and Nico Hines, he's having the season of his life, kicking goals left, right and centre. The Storm, 26-16. And my Dragons, my Dragons. They're trying hard, but they just can't go with the big, heavy favourites. The Panthers, 34-16. Burton played some wonderful football the other night. He was probably the best on the park, along with Naden with a couple of tries. So 34-16, my Dragons. Oh, they're soaring straight at the moment. They're out of the 8. And to back it up, my Broncos, they nearly had this. This was going to be the upset of the round. But the Roosters, they find a way to win on the back of someone like Teddy Tedesco. We talk about Tommy Turbo, but Teddy, if he's not scoring tries, he's setting them up. And at the end there, what great pressure there by young Kieran. He slots the goal. They get home 21-20. The Broncos lose and the Roosters get home. And what about the Bunnies? Well, we talk about this guy every week, Latrell Mitchell. He's setting the standard there. Their forward pack, they're hard to stop. Josh Mansour, 2 tries. The wily old, the veteran there, he scores 2 tries, and the Titans couldn't go with him. 36-16, the Rabbitohs over the Titans. And what about the Cowboys? The Cowboys at home, everyone thought they had a chance of winning this game, but Deedon, he scores a try, but it's hard to stop Dewey. Dewey is, if he's not scoring tries, he's kicking goals. And Mamalo, he scored a try. 24-16, the West Tigers over the Cowboys. And what about the Seagulls versus the Eels? Well, I think, you know what? I keep giving the Eels chances. I think the Eels are gone. They can't find that resilience. Manly had their way with them, 56-10. The Eels have got no answers at the moment. Ruben Garrick, 8 goals, 2 tries. I wasn't good at maths, but that's probably half of the Manly's points. Tommy Turbo, he's in doubt this week. Obviously, his jaw or something. Hopefully he's going to be all right, or his cheekbone, sorry. 56-10, they beat the Eels. The Eels are in a lot of trouble there. The Warriors versus the Bulldogs. Well, the Warriors, Reece Walsh scores a try, kicks a couple of goals. It's a Reece Walsh show there. He's done a good job, but Bulldogs, 24-10. Young Shoop, he's tried hard. He scored a try there, but they can't find a way to close it out, the Bulldogs. Well done to the Warriors. They're still in the mix for the final 8. And to round it off, the Sharks versus the Knights. Well, this was some sort of game. The Knights just did what they had to do here, but it was at Redcliffe, and they tried really hard here, the Sharks. So Tuala scored an amazing try. He scored 2 tries. Andrew Fafita obviously got hit in the larynx, and it's going to be a tough couple of weeks for Andrew Fafita. I don't think we'll see him play again for a long time. So that was a tough loss for the Sharks. The Knights win that game 16-14. Kalen Ponga magic. Mitchell Pearce taking them on. The Knights, they're back in the hunt. Well, what a game we have for you. Titans versus Storm. The Titans. They showed last week, they just couldn't go with some of the competition heavyweights. And this week is a bigger, stronger, faster heavyweight. The Storm. The Storm lead the comp. 18 straight wins. They surpassed the Panthers' record from last year. So now they're going for 19. And what that brings is records. So I think the 1975 Roosters team, they won 19 straight consecutive games. Where I see this going, well, the Storm. Well, Nico Hines, he's Mr. Fix-It. How good's this? Jerome Hughes, obviously, he had his head knocked last week. He's going to be out for a couple of weeks. So Nico Hines, he goes into halfback. You got Munster there at 5'8". And who comes into fullback? Ryan Pappenhausen. I can't believe the culture of this Storm team. They just keep on keeping on. You've got some wonderful players in and around this Storm team, but it's the culture and the depth of this great side. And that comes from their man at the top, Craig Bellamy. It's about precision. It's about setting the standards, and that's what he does. And he sets that as a coach, and he expects it of his players and his staff. So, look, the Titans have got their work cut out from this week. The Titans showed last week they can't go with the bigger sides. Obviously, they're in around that top 8 position, but if they want to do something in the finals, you've got to beat the big dogs. That's how you gauge yourself. You know, you've got to take it to them, and where you've got to take it to them is through that middle third. So I expect Big Tino, Proctor, and Fafita to try and rip into the middle third. Have a look at this for a forward pack. Jesse Bromwich, Harry Grant, Christian Welsh, Kafusi, Bromwich, and Chris Lewis. Chris Lewis is probably, I wouldn't say he's a no-name there, but all those other guys, they're either international or origin forwards. So it's going to be an unbelievable game, but I reckon once again, the forwards set the standard, and I think for the Titans, that's where their power comes from. They play that power game in the backs. There's too much class in the backs here for the Storm. Pappenhausen, obviously, there's a few concerns about his head knocks and stuff, but he's obviously back there, and he's going to be looking to rip in now. So I reckon Craig Bellamy will give him a couple of weeks at fullback now, just to see how he goes coming into the finals, and they'll probably start resting a few players leading into the finals. Obviously, they're 2 points in front. They look like they're going to get the minor premiership. They just don't need any speed bumps. Obviously, Titans have got an exciting back line, but I just don't think they can go with the Storm here. You know, young Jaden Campbell, Preston Campbell's young bloke, I think he's had a pretty good season, but, you know, going up against someone like Pappenhausen, Paddy Herbert's had a really good season, and I've looked at the halves. Ash Taylor, who hasn't found a home yet, and Jamal Fogarty, they've got to lead them around. Where you've got to try and take the Storm apart is through their middle third and on the edges. I just don't think the Titans have got the power and the precision to do that. You know, and if you have a look at the betting, the Titans are $9. No disrespect to the Titans. They're playing at home against a side like the Storm. The Storm don't care where they play you. They can play you out in the country, out at Mudgee. They can play you down in Melbourne. They can play you at the back of Burke. Doesn't matter. It's their mindset, which stems from Craig Bellamy. I think the last game they played at home was in April at Amy Park. So I'm looking at the prices here. The Storm, 1 to 12, $5, or Storm 13 plus. Look, to be honest, I can't see the Titans going with the Storm at any stage here. There's too many points in this side. I look at this. When you get Harry Grant at hooker, it's unbelievable. You know, Brandon Smith, you know, he's not even there. Brandon Smith gets a rest this week, so he doesn't need to play. He'll start resting players. And you look at that price there, you know, I want the Titans to aim up here, but the Titans, you can't go with a side like this. And one thing the Storm do is they don't play for records, they play for the culture of the club. And their culture at the club is in good spirits at the moment. You can see they're a happy side. One of those things I look at is, you know, minus 23.5. You just have to go with a good winning team. Last week, they got a little bit nervous, the Storm, but they found a way to put Canberra to the sword. So for me, I'm going to Melbourne Storm minus 23.5 for $1.90. I just don't think the Titans go with them, even at Seabus Stadium. Thursday night should be a nice, open, fast game, but I just think they're too tough. At some stage, the Melbourne Storm have to have an off week. So I just don't think it's going to be this week, and the Titans, they need to lift. If they can lift, this will be great for their culture of the club, but the Storm, I don't think they'll be doing it this easy. They're playing for a record here. They don't play for records at their club, but going for that 1975 Roosters record of tying 19 consecutive games, I think the Roosters will be all over this. The Storm will be all over this, and that's the Roosters record. That was a pretty fair side in 1975. I work with a guy called Peter Sterling. Peter Sterling to this day says that's the best club side he's ever seen. So when Peter Sterling is saying something like that, you know you've got to take notice. Anyway, for me, that's the Storm. That's the warning. The Titans fans, watch out, because this Storm is a real deal. Well, what a game we have for Friday night. 6 o'clock game, the Raiders versus the Eagles. Well, we know the Eagles keep on keeping on. Mate, they scored 50 points last week on the back of guys like Ruben Garrick. I think he kicked something like 8 goals, scored a couple of tries. He's having, you know, one of those seasons where, as a young player, you want to be the highest point scorer. Ruben Garrick, a young South Coast prodigy, he's doing great things. I think the young blokes from Gerringong or Geroa down that way, he's one of those kids that are very underrated. He knows how to finish, but their forward pack are doing the job for Manly. They're doing the job. When they do the job and set the standard, they got so much skill set. There's toughness through the middle. Josh Alloway, he's playing some good football. Marty Tapau is playing wonderful football. And these young players like Schuster, Olakatu, mate, those guys are doing such a good job that it makes it easier for, I think, the team as a whole. Well, we know their halves are doing a good job too. DCE, he knows what to do. And Kieran Foran. So, but I look at Raiders. Raiders, Raiders are trying really hard at the moment. They took it to the Storm last week, but they just couldn't finish them off. Jordan Rapana's playing some wonderful football, but it's up to Jack Whiten now. This is where Jack Whiten needs to stand up. I expect Jack Whiten, Papali'i, these are the guys that need to stand up if they're going to beat the Seagulls. At the moment, Tommy Trbojevic, he's in doubt because they're saying his cheekbone and that, it's not fractured or anything like that. It's more scarring, but I think they'll give him a rest this week. I think Des will give him a rest, and I think Dylan Walker will push to fullback. So I think when he's playing Tommy Trbojevic, the winning record's like about 70%. And obviously when he's not playing, well, I wasn't good at maths, but we know it's not that good. So where I see the Raiders trying to smash them through the middle, this is where they beat Parramatta, through their middle third. You've got to go direct instead of going wide. And if you do that, you're a big chance of beating the Seagulls. And that's when they're playing their best football, Canberra Raiders. They're really aggressive through that middle third, and their backs do a job. Rapana plays off the cuff. He doesn't play, he plays on instinct. So if he sees something, he just goes with it. But Jack Whiten's their key man there. So where I see this going is Canberra Raiders, $4.50. I'm telling you now, Manly Seagulls, $1.20. It depends on Tommy Turbo. I tell you what, this is going to be tighter than people think. If there's no Tommy Turbo, I reckon Manly will get home in a tight one. I reckon you're looking to take it Manly Seagulls 1 to 12, $3.40, or you take the Raiders plus 14.5. So if you take the 14.5 for $1.90, but look, I think the Seagulls get home with this one because winning form's good form. Raiders, I can't trust the Raiders at the moment. I'm taking the Manly Seagulls to win 1 to 12 at $3.40. That's my best bet for this game. But then if you fancy the Raiders, mate, take the plus 14.5 because there's no Tommy Turbo. Mate, the Raiders are a big show here because they know they've got to keep winning to try and be in that top 8. I think at the moment, they're in 9th and on 4 and against they're out of the top 8. So they need to keep winning. So they'll bring all their artillery and they'll try and take the Manly Seagulls down. Friday night at 8 o'clock, I'll be sitting back in my lounge chair watching this game, the Panthers versus the Bunnies. That's right. The Bunnies at the moment, they are playing some great football on the back of their, not just their forwards, but Latrell Mitchell. Latrell Mitchell set that standard. When he brings the ball back, it's his power, it's his skill, but also it's his X factor. He gives you confidence. I look at that back line from the Rabbitohs. Alex Johnston, he comes back into it. I think he scored 24 tries this year. So I think Josh Addo-Carr's on 21 tries. Alex Johnston's had a couple of weeks off, but he'll be raring to go. Campbell Graham in the centres. Josh Mansour scored a couple last week. But look at this. Mate, if this doesn't whet your appetite, Cody Walker, Adam Reynolds versus Jerome Luai and Nathan Cleary. That's what football's all about. It's like when you watch a title fight. Mate, you're watching two big heavyweights go against each other. We know that they've been talking about Melbourne Storm. Okay, we know Melbourne Storm here at the moment. But these two teams, they're the next two teams. I reckon these two teams can trouble the Melbourne Storm come grand final day or come back into the season. Mate, the Panthers, they're playing some good football now. Matt Burton obviously slots back into the centres. He's playing great football. But Luai and Cleary in the halves, that gets them around. But the forward pack, you know, Api Korosao's back. You know, Kikau, Isaiah Yeo, Leota. He's playing some good football. And then you look at this Bunnies forward pack. Cook, Burgess, Jai Arrow, Murray, mate, Keon Kolomatangi. This is what football's about. This is what we wait for. It's come to round 23, and this is a heavyweight clash here like no other. Look at the coaches. Wayne Bennett against Ivan Cleary. Mate, I can't wait. This is just whet my appetite. This is Friday night football at its best. I just can't wait to see these two teams go at each other, go head to head. And I reckon if the Panthers are going to target anywhere, you've got to go at their back line because at the moment they leak too many points to Bunnies. I know they can score points, but their defence, there's a few question marks on the Bunnies' defence. The Panthers, by a similar token too, mate, they know how to score some tries, but sometimes when their defence isn't on, they're a bit loose around that ruck area. So I think that's where they should target. Damien Cook versus Api Korosaau. Mate, it's the master versus the apprentice. Everyone thought that Api Korosaau should have been given the New South Wales number 9 jersey, but Damien Cook, he proved why he's one of the best number 9s in the game. He held Api Korosaau off, and you know, he's doing a good job, Damien Cook, for the Bunnies. And look at the benches. The benches, it whets their appetite too, because no matter how the game's played, Benji Marshall comes on. He's got that X factor. The wily old fox, he does what he has to do. You got Totola there, host, and Hame Saleh. And it's a really good bench too by the Panthers. You know, Kurt Capewell, who's an Origin player who can play in the centres and play utility, he does a wonderful job there. So this is one of the matches of the year where I see this going. I'll look at the prices. The Panthers are the favourite at $1.70. The Bunnies $2.15. Oh, this is a tough one. If I have a look at this, the Panthers 1-12 $3.30, or the Bunnies 1-12 at $3.60. It's a tough one. You know what? I'm going to go with the Bunnies. Give you the 2.5 start. 2.5 start for $1.90. But actually, you know what I'll do? I reckon it's going to be such a tight one. I'm going to go to the Bunnies. I'm going to scrap that for the value. The Bunnies to win 1-12, $3.60. I like the Panthers. I like what they're about. But for some reason, I just think the Bunnies, this time of the year, Wayne Bennett coach sides, I think there's a little flick of the sort of flick of the brain, and I think Wayne will just want to show people that like they're the real deal. I think the Bunnies have got the game plan. They've got the team. I think to beat someone like the Panthers and Melbourne Storm come the business end of the season. So lock yourselves in. Even though the Panthers are $1.70 and the Bunnies $2.15, I'm telling you now, take the Bunnies 1-12. I think the Bunnies are going to flex their muscle. Back there, but the West Tigers versus the Sharks. So the Tigers, they're trying to stay in it, but like it's up to the Sharks now. They lost that game last week against the Knights. They probably could have won. It was down by 2 points. Obviously, Andrew Fafita was injured last week, so they'll miss him this week. But Toby Rudolph, he'll go in the front row, take that opportunity. But if you have a look at this, Sharks side, it's still a good side. They've still got to keep trying to win and try to keep things going because mate, they want to be in the top 8 side. I know they've had a few injuries of late, but there's still enough talent there to make the top 8. Look at this Tigers side. Well, Moses Umbo, he's just signed a deal to go to the Dragons for a couple of years. They've released him the last year of his contract, so he'll be at fullback. But once again, that man Dewey, he's their main man. So Brooks, I think, is looking for a new home. But Adam Dewey is the man that can Dewey for him. And if I have a look at that forward pack, it's a good forward pack there by the Tigers, but you just don't know which Tigers team's going to turn up. And if you have a look at it, there's going to be some good battles there. You know, Alex Twal versus Jack Williams, Talakai versus Big Blur. So this is some good football ready to be played, and I'm looking forward to seeing who comes out trumps here. The Tigers at the moment, you know, they're $2.45. The Sharks are $1.55. Where I see this going, I think the Sharks for me, minus 4.5. I've got to go the Sharks here because I think there's too much on the line for them not to win this. So minus 4.5 start at $1.90. I'm leaning towards the Sharks. But if you do like the Tigers, mate, go the Tigers in a tight one, 1-12 at $3.75. That's not what I'm going, but that's what some people will go. But for me, I think the Sharks minus the 4.5 for $1.90. And I reckon the Sharkies, they'll keep their season alive in the top 8. Bulldogs versus the Knights on Saturday afternoon, 5:30 game. The Knights, they've started to show what they can do when their full complement of players are back on board. Obviously, Bradman best, at his best, Kalen Ponga, but Mitchell Pearce, he's a calming influence in this side. And their forward pack, we know that they've been ripping and tearing their forward pack. You know, Clemens starting front rower, Jacob Saifidi, and Mitch Barnett. They've been really aggressive and they've really helped out here. But it's up to the Bulldogs to see what they can do. Look, I know the Bulldogs are trying. They're trying hard, but they just haven't got that class of player to finish it off. They've had a couple of suspensions, a couple of injuries. I look at this Knights team and Kalen Ponga, his X factor. He just does what he wants to do. And he was sublime last week. Just things that he was doing. Skipping to the outside, little flick passes, just making the play. So I'd expect Newcastle to stand up here on the back of someone like Dave Clemmer. Dave Clemmer has been a bit quiet of late. Connor Watson, I think, he just signed a 2-year deal with the Roosters, so he's heading back to the Roosters. I'm looking at this, looking at the head-to-head. The Bulldogs, $5. Newcastle Knights, $1.18. Where I see this going, Newcastle Knights, 13 plus at $1.67. I think that's the best bet of the week. Newcastle Knights will put some points on here. They'll be aggressive through their middle third, but also they'll be expansive the way they play on the back of guys like Ponga and also Jake Clifford and Mitchell Pearce. So I think they're going to have another tough weekend this weekend, the Bulldogs. So for me, 13 plus by the Newcastle Knights, $1.67. That's a nice little earn. Yeah, we have for the Eels versus the Cowboys. Well, the Cowboys, they're gone. Their season's gone. They're trying hard. They can upset the Eels here. The Eels haven't been great. They've lost their hunger in defence. What wins your premierships and what builds confidence is your aggression through your whole team. Last couple of years, that's what Eels have had. But Reid Marnie, obviously not their number 9. For some reason, their outside 5 haven't been as aggressive carrying the ball. And that's where they lay the platform, and on the back of that, Parramatta would pick teams apart. But I look at this Parramatta side, and it's still a good side, but they need the killer instinct. If you don't have the killer instinct, you just make up the numbers in the top 8. So Hayes Dunster, he comes onto the wing. Blake Ferguson's obviously not there. Micah Sivo needs to recapture that form that's made him one of the best wingers in the game the last couple of years. At the moment, he just seems tired. And the thing is, when you're playing the NRL, to play well week in, week out, it takes it out of you. I know these guys are in, look, I wouldn't say quarantine, but when they're going back to these to their camps and stuff, sometimes it's hard not to be able to do what you normally do, but it is the way it is. I look at their forward pack. Their forward pack is very good. Papali'i's been unbelievable this season. He's been their best, but they need to find what they had start of the season. At the moment, people are riding the Eels off, and until they show me something, I know they'll win this game, but they're not going to beat the big sides. This bench, Bryce Cartwright, I think he's on another year deal there. Oregon Kafusi, and they're players that I expect to stand up and do something. But the Cowboys, mate, they've got some classy players there. But once again, I just don't think they go with the Eels here. Valentine Holmes at the back. Granville's in the centres. Granville's played hooker, fullback in the centres. Drinkwater and Deaton, their halves. But yeah, look, I just can't see. There's no big man like Jason Taumalolo. He's 18th man. I'm not sure why he's 18th man at the moment. I think he's getting a bit of rest there. But Cowboys $3.25. The Parramatta Eels $1.35. Look, I'd expect the Parramatta Eels to flex their muscle here. Parramatta Eels 13 plus. I'll be taking that for $2.10 or taking the minus 10.5. But I've got no doubt the Parramatta Eels need to show something here. The Cowboys could very well put some points on here. It could be a very entertaining game. But for me, I'm going the Eels here, and the Eels need to bounce back. Bounce back in a big way. Otherwise, people will write them off. Here we go, the Sunday game. My Dragons, the mighty Red V versus the Roosters. Well, the Roosters, Victor the Inflictor, he's gone on holidays again for a couple of weeks. I think he's gone on holidays, for a month. But they just keep on keeping on the Roosters. The Dragons here, well done to this guy here. He's a guy I've been a fan of for a long time, Tariq Sims. Plays with his heart on his sleeve. He will captain the Red V for the first time in his career. So well done to him. Geez, I find it, I can't get a gauge on the Dragons. They've got so much to play for, but they just keep coming up short. Obviously, Corey Norman last week, he copped a bit of heat. But Amon, the number 6, he's a very talented young kid. This kid could be the number 6 for the next 10 years at the Dragons. He's such a talented young player. And young Jaden Sullivan, the number 14. Have a look when Sullivan comes on. I reckon Sullivan and Amone could be the halves leading into the future. Duffy's obviously back there at fullback. Jack Bird moves back to the centres. But look, if I have a look at this Rooster side, Tedesco at the back, Tupou, Manu, and Walker, they'll get the job done there. And look at this forward pack. That man, Joey Hargraves, he comes back. Takiaho, Tupanua, and Isaac Liu. And on the bench, that man, Lachlan Lamb, it's a good bench. Fletcher Baker has been outstanding this year. Look, I can't see the Roosters losing this game. Too much to play for. The Dragons are $4, and they should be every bit $4 too the way they're playing. The Roosters are $1.25. Where I see this game being won, I see this game being won by the Roosters, 13 plus, $1.90. Or well, here we go, round 23 game, Broncos versus the Warriors. My Broncos versus the Warriors. Well, this could be anything here. We know a few players have gone to the Warriors from the Broncos and vice versa. But where I see this game being won and lost, well, you know what? The forwards always have the platform, but I think we're going to see a highly entertaining game. We're going to see a lot of points. Both teams haven't got much to lose. Warriors can still make the top 8, but I just don't think they cut out enough because they're not consistent enough. They haven't been aggressive enough. And also, there's not enough trust built in towards this team because they second-guess themselves a little bit. So, look, some players who have played really well for me, I think. I think Tessie New has been really good for me. Flegler, the young man who was unlucky last week, he tried to go for that charge down, obviously got penalised. But Ricky's improving. And, if you look at a player like him on the back of guys like TC Rabati, they're the players that you need to play well leading into the future of the Broncos. But the Warriors, mate, the Warriors have got a good side. They're just, for me, I just don't know why. Whenever I tip them, they lose. And then when I tip against them, they win. I don't know whether they don't like me or not, but there's some good players in this team. And Adam Fanua-Blake, he's got to lead the charge here. Ewan Aikens in the back row there with Bailey Sirenen. Reece Walsh, mate, he's scoring tries, he's kicking goals. He is a very talented player. But I look at that bench too from the Warriors, and the Warriors have got a very solid bench. Cody Nikorima, Big Katoa, and Joe Stavanga. So where I see this game heading, Brisbane Broncos $1.95, Warriors $1.85. Look, you know what? This is a toss of a coin. My head tells me the Warriors, sorry. My heart says Broncos. I'm going to have the Broncos here 1-12. This could be anything in this game. The Broncos here, if they can trust the process and trust themselves, they can get this win over the Warriors. I reckon the Broncos can take this win. Broncos 1-12 for me, $3.40. Not because I'm a Bronco. I just think, I don't know, the Warriors. I know they might have checked out a little bit. And I just think that this Broncos side has got a bit to prove. So for me, the Broncos in a tight one, Suncorp Stadium, home ground advantage. That's Big Dell's tips for round 23. I'll see you same time, same place next week. Happy tipping.